It is I, Valak, and I return to wreak havoc now in France in my new film that is certainly to die for. That's right, folks. I return for my new film, The Nun II. If there's something y'all want to tell me now, because I have no clue who just opened up this review. But nonetheless, I'm here to review, folks, the new film, The Nun II, returning to theaters September 8th. That's right, folks. Welcome back here to the channel. And we are going to talk about what I feel is truly the best horror franchise of all time. And yes, that is the Conjuring universe, and that certainly means The Nun. As The Nun, the first Nun, is the highest grossing film of the franchise. I mean, it made 366 million, so there was a lot of expectations coming into The Nun 2, and it didn't disappoint. This film, top to bottom, was fantastic. But I will say that the plot is very simple. And why even make it complex? There was no need for that. But Valak is back and wreaking havoc, this time 1956 in France. And in France, they discovered that a priest was murdered, amongst some other folks, by the way. Synopsis definitely shortchanged that. There was definitely some other folks, but the high-profile killing or murder was the priest. And obviously, you think, like, a priest being killed in the way they were? Like, he was burned to death. So, like, you're like, okay, clearly there's something very demonic happening, but in this case it is evil spreading all across Europe here, and it is a little bit of a trail, but nonetheless that would just solicit one of the best to come and do their investigation, and that's Sister Irene, who is returning to her role. It's Taissa Farmiga. So happy that she's back. Obviously, this family is going to continue to make all the money in this franchise. But nonetheless, yes, she returns as Sister Irene. We have Jonas Bloquet returns now as Maurice, which is an interesting story there. And I'm just going to just quickly mention that, like, the story between Sister Irene and Maurice, whether you've seen the first film or not, will be explained. But to me, I think it's just one of those little things where it's like eye for an eye. And I know it sounds very corny considering that Valak and the eye thing and whatnot, but it truly is just an eye for an eye, or IOU, whatever it may be. But yes, you know, they explore that. They talk about it, and then things go in a direction I wasn't expecting, but maybe I was a little bit predictable, but a little bit not, shall I say. But yes. And then you have newcomer Storm Reid, who I love Storm. Let's start off there. And she's playing a character who's basically a nun in training. So, you know, she's at this location where all the things are kind of happening and where the investigation's taking place, where she meets Sister Irene, becomes very fond of her for a lot of reasons. But I mean, like, why not? You know, when you know about Sister Irene's, you know, legacy, why wouldn't you want to be under her tutelage? And that's exactly what Storm Reid character does. But I said this to a buddy of mine. You know, I whispered in the theater, and I said, like, you know, Storm has that Tom Holland syndrome where basically, you know, no matter the roles they take, they're always going to look so youthful. So, like, when you see her, and when you look at the resume of all the films she's been in, or just roles she's been in, they've typically been younger characters. So, like, to kind of see her, you know, older here, a character who's smoking a cigarette, it's kind of like, huh. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. Kind of threw me off a little bit here, as if I needed more reasons to be uneasy. Because yes, with Valak returning, so comes the scares, so comes the spine chill moments, so comes the lurking in the dark. And they really truly nailed these shots in this film. Unlike, I mean, like, don't get me wrong, the first one's great, but this one just does that plus better. Also, you know, tips to hat to James Wan, who just, amongst the best when it comes down to horror. But like these low light shots continuously keeps you guessing, where like it looks like it's just black back there, but you know something's back there, and it plays mental games, it plays eye tricks. In one moment you're looking at a subject or a character, whatever it may be, and then the next minute something's in the background. Then you see these glowing eyes. Like they truly hit these low light illusion shots, you know, some of the best in the game here. But with that being said, yes, it is top tier creepy. But with the demon on the loose and with Sister Irene on the way to sort of figure this all out, you know, there's casualties to all degrees. As I mentioned, there's a priest that was murdered, but like, listen, this film is completely unbiased in terms of who can get it. Because yes, kids were even getting it. And I was like, whoa, like I wasn't expecting that. So the film is brutal. It is brutal, and it doesn't waste any time with the brutality. And with that, yes, be very prepared to be uneasy because it's very unsettling. The atmospheric horror is top tier. I wasn't truly a fan of the score per se, but the sounds were done very, very well. Again, it's creepy, keeps you guessing, it's chilling. They nail the jump scares. And then there's this other thing where it just seems like folks in the film continuously running towards weird sounds and always going towards danger. Something I wouldn't do, but but here we go. And then I want to talk about the third act. The third act was brilliant. First of all, I like to say that the third act was kind of built like an anime final boss battle. And with that, the sci-fi, so the special effects, the CGI, the visual effects, I mean, they nail it in every department. First of all, the costume makeup design, folks, really nails it. And I really want to talk about the character, but I don't want to give anything away. But they really do nail it, and it is just so good. So we got that, the practical stuff, and then you layer it with the CGI stuff. The third act just really comes together very well. So evil is at its worst, but yet best in this third act. And I always wonder, when will good ever get a moment to go eye to eye? And you certainly do get that. So like, be prepared in the third act to see a battle of good versus evil where the playing field is completely fair, where it typically hasn't, because we know that Valak and the demonic spirits can, you know, move, open and close doors, take, you know, shape of anybody they want. It's good to see that the good guys are going to have a fair shot here. I'm just going to leave it at that. And the last thing I want to talk about in terms of the ending, where like, in preparation for this film, you certainly want to check out the first one. You don't need to check out everything in the Conjuring franchise, because we do know when we got the first appearance of the Nun, but beyond that, there's really been no connection to when we got the first appearance of Valak, but there's really been no connections to the Nun. There's certainly no connections to the Nun II besides the two of them together. So you don't have to go around and do everything to get the full preparation for it. And then when it comes down to the Conjuring franchise, there is a stinger. There is a mid-credit scene, and this mid-credit scene does not connect to the film, but it certainly connects to the universe. And if you just kind of take a look at the release calendar, you kind of know what it has to be in order to prepare, in order to kind of lobby up what the next film is going to be. So there is that. But nonetheless, it's a very solid film. Certainly a must watch in theaters. But you know, with that, just be prepared for everything you expected from the first one. Just double down in this one. So yeah, you're going to get it all here. It's completely frightening. That's just the easiest way to put it. So yes, folks, once you check it out, if you continue to keep your eyes open the entire time, let me know your thoughts about the film. And as always, get the comments, do so, and we'll be back for more reviews very soon. Mine is Valak. She won't be back, and no more reviews. I promise you that. Thank you for watching, folks.